Hello, we're going to go ahead and go through 5.4 day 2, and this is about doing Cramer's rule with a 3 by 3 or with 3 variables. So 5.4 day 2 is Cramer's rule. Okay, so I'm going to remind you one more time, you should have already watched the determinant video for 5.4 day 1, but let's just go ahead and remind ourselves on how we evaluate a 3 by 3. So we're going to say evaluate the determinant. And we'll do one Cramer's rule example, and then you'll just have time to work. So say I were to give you, let's say 2, 1, negative 1. Let's say 1, negative 2, 4. And let's say 5, 0, 3. Okay, if you remember, your first step in evaluating a 3 by 3 determinant is to rewrite the first two columns. So you've got 2, 1, negative 1, and 1, negative 2, 4. All right, and let me get my different colors, which I can't seem to find right now. Oh, here we go. So if I were to, here it is. If I were to multiply a 2 times a negative 2 times a 3, that's a negative 12. Then I put plus 1 times 0 times negative 1 is 0. And then I do plus 5 times 1 times 4 is 20. Okay. Now I'm going to go backwards. When I go backwards, I put a minus. Okay, so in the other direction, a negative 1 times a negative 2 times a 5 is a 10. I put minus 4 times 0 times 2 is 0. And then I put minus 3 times 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, so now add all those together. Negative 12 and 20 is 8. 8 minus 10 is negative 2. Negative 2 and negative 1 is negative 3. All right, so let's do a Cramer's rule now. So example 2. I want you to solve the system by Cramer's rule. All right, so here's your system. So system we are going to use is 3x plus 2y minus z equals 5. 4x plus y minus 2z is equal to 8. And negative 3y plus z is equal to 9. All right, so we know that we have 3 variables. So you know you're going to have a dx, a dy, a dz. You know you also have to have your regular determinant. So I'm going to write the regular determinant first. Okay, so when I write my regular determinant, it's just take the values in front of the variable. So I see it 3, 4, 0. So 3, 4, 0 for the x values. A 2, 1, negative 3. So 2, 1, negative 3. Then I got a negative 1, negative 2, 1. So negative 1, negative 2, 1. That is my regular determinant. Okay. So I also need to find a dx. Okay. So when I do that, oops, I think I went a little bit too long. So when I do my dx, that means do not use x. Okay, so instead of the x values, I need to use these ones over here. So the 5, 8, 9, still use my y's. So 2, 1, negative 3, still use my z's. So negative 1, negative 2, 1. So there is my determinant with respect to x. Okay, I also have to find a dy. Okay, so I use my x's, which is 3, 4, 0. Do not use the y, so I need to use your constants out here, the 5, 8, 9. And then use your z, which is negative 1, negative 2, 1. And finally, let's set up our dz, okay, which I guess I'm off the screen on that one a little bit. Okay, so my x's were 3, 4, 0. My y's were 2, 1, negative 3. And now again, do not use the z's, use your constants, which are 5, 8, 9. Okay, so now I just set up, let me just leave it there. I've set up my 4 determinants that I need. So now I need to actually evaluate them. Here I go. Okay. So first thing I do is I rewrite the first 2 columns. So 3, 4, 0, and 2, 1, negative 3. All right, so a 3 times a 1 times a 1 is a 3. plus a 2 times a negative 2 times a 0 is a 0, plus a negative 1 times a 4 times a negative 3 is a 12. Okay, now we're going to go in the opposite direction. So I'm going to put a minus, and then 0, 1 times negative 1 is 0, minus negative 3 times negative 2 times 3 is 18, minus a 1 times a 4 times a 2 is an 8. All right, so now if I add all those together, 3 and 12 make 15. 15 minus 18 is negative 3. Negative 3, negative 8 is negative 11. Double check my math. All right, so first thing we need to do here, again, is rewrite the first two columns. So I've got my 5, 8, 9 and my 2, 1, negative 3. So here I go. So 5, 1, 1 gives me 5 plus 2, negative 2, 9. That is negative 36 plus my negative 1, 8, negative 3 is 24. Okay, now I'm going to go the opposite direction. So I got to put a minus. 9, 1, negative 9 is negative 9, minus a negative 3, negative 2, 5 is 30, minus a 182 is 16. Okay, so putting all of these together, that would be negative 44. Double check. All right, for your dy, we write the first two columns, so 3, 4, 0 and 5, 8, 9. All right, so my first product, 3, 8, 1 is 24, plus 5 times a negative 2 times 0 is a 0, plus a negative 1 times a 4 times a 36, times a 9 is a negative 36. Then I got to put minus, go the other direction. 0, 8, negative 1 is 0, minus 9, negative 2 times a 3 is a negative 54, minus 145 is 20. Okay, if I combine all of these, that would be 22. Yes, 22. All right, so finally our dz. So we write the first two columns. So we got a 3, 4, 0. We got a 2, 1, negative 3. All right, 3 times a 1 times a 9 is a 27, plus 2 times an 8 times a 0 is a 0, plus 5 times a 4 times a negative 3 is a negative 60. Now we're going to go the other direction. So I'm going to say minus. So 0 times 1 times 5 is 0, minus negative 3 times an 8 times a 3 is a negative 48. No, it's not. It's a negative 72. My bad. All right. So negative 72 minus a 9 times a 4 times a 2 is 72. Oh, what's really nice about that is those two cancel each other out. All right. So when I add those two together, that would be negative 33. Okay, so now that I found the values of all of my determinants, then I got to remember how this goes. So again, to find x, it's going to be your dx divided by d. So when I do that, that would be my x is negative 44 divided by the d. So that would give me 4. Okay, to find my y, I've got to do dy over d. So then that would be that'd be 22 over the negative 11, which is negative 2. And then finally, to find my z, it's the dz over d. So that would be negative 33 over the negative 11 to give me 3. So my final answer, writing it as a point, since this is a 3 by 3, I write it as an xyz point. So that would be 4, negative 2, 3. And again, if I want to make sure that I am correct, I would plug in that answer into the original system, into all 3 equations to make sure that I am good. All right, so that is how you solve a 3 by 3 system with Cramer's rule. Get to work and let us know if you have any questions.